Sometimes I own cars that I really shouldn't own because I can't afford to own them. The problem was with that car is that it used to give me anxiety because I used to think to myself, if anything goes wrong on this car,
Yes.
I'm sunk.
Yes. You're bankrupt.
I can't afford to repair it.
Peter, it's an embargo.
No, I can talk about it.
There's an embargo.
I can talk about it, Will, because we are in control of when this podcast goes out.
Could be better on the special effects, but other than that, a very good film.
I find that the final scene is very much like RM Sotheby's 6 o'clock Friday evening when we leave the office. It's like we're getting out of here, and if we get shot on the way out, we don't care. Hello everybody, welcome to it's not a new season of RM Sotheby's car show, but we've had a bit of a summer break, and I'm here with Will Smith. Hello, Will.
Hello, everyone.
If you're watching this, you will see that behind me is a beautiful scene. It's the River Thames. We are in Richmond, and we are on a floating restaurant, and I'm going to give them a name check. It's called the Peggy Jean. It's a restaurant on the banks of the Thames here in Richmond, and they've let us come and sit on it. And all we've had to do is buy 2 glasses of rosé as a thank you for letting us come and sit on their boat. And it's a beautiful day. We're having a bit of an Indian summer, having had a pretty rubbish summer, really, haven't we?
Yeah, quite wet.
Quite wet. Standard British summer. But it's warm.
It's lovely.
You put some suntan lotion on it.
I literally did, because Jonny provided it, and the sunglasses. Thank you, Jonny.
Yeah.
But no, we are here in the best possible surroundings, and probably one of the better locations that we do this podcast in, Peter.
I mean, forget Lake Como, Monaco, or
Richmond upon Thames.
We're in Richmond upon Thames. It is actually. We've done a few podcasts from our library, and if people have watched those, they'll have a sense that actually it's a very nice office space.
It is.
But we are very, very lucky, aren't we? RM Sotheby's, we are winning as RM Sotheby's employees, because our office, which is just not even 100 metres to one side of us right now, it's got the best view of. Can you hope for a better view?
It's an incredible office, and we literally are on the Thames, and when the sun and the weather is like this, you kind of come out and the whole of Richmond is outside, and the pubs are sort of bustling and overflowing, and there are people. You get buskers. In fact, there's a lady. You might just hear some singing in the background because there's a lady singing. Not very well, actually. Some are better than others.
Some of the buskers are better than others.
Much better.
I did say to somebody earlier, it sounds like a drunk relative at a wedding. But anyway, nice to have. And there's lots of restaurants, and anyway, but probably enough of our work environment, isn't it?
And the weather.
And the weather. Classic Brits, aren't we? Let's talk about the weather. Now, we've been off air. The last podcast we did was a live broadcast from the Tegernsee sale.
Yes.
At the new Concourse of Elegance in Germany.
Yes.
That was lovely, wasn't it?
Beautiful event, and
sunny again.
Really sunny, and genuinely a lovely association for a new car event, a new Concours event in Germany, which I think is a hugely interesting marketplace for the classic car scene, because it's bizarrely, for its scale and its size in the automotive sector, in the classic car sector, it's still a relatively new frontier, both auction-wise and even Concours d'Elegance.
Yeah.
There's no other Concours.
No, they had one at Schloss Dieck, didn't they?
Yeah.
A few years ago, but that hasn't been around for a while.
Yeah, pronounced differently in different other dialects. But hey, no.
Schloss Dieck?
Schloss Dieck. Yeah.
Schloss Dieck? Don't know.
Is what I knew it as. But anyway, it is still in a relatively new market. We did that auction in Tegernsee. It went very well. It was a huge audience in the room. It was packed out, wasn't it? That room was just filled with local people.
It was.
Munich people and people who like to gather in the southern lakes of Germany. And I thought it was a really nice event that just the association with RM and the organisers of the event was perfect, and the cars were great.
We are building up, and there's a lot of behind the scenes work that needs to be done.
Yeah.
Building up to
a frantic period.
3 live auctions. We've got some online auctions as well.
Yes.
So there's a lot going on. We don't often talk about the online auctions, but they're a thing and they're important to us. But we have got London
Yes.
at the Peninsula Hotel
Yes,
at the beginning of November.
we do.
We go back to Motorworld in Munich towards the end of November.
Love that place.
We like you get a good sausage there, don't you?
And a good beer.
And a good beer. Germany's best beer, apparently.
It is.
I learnt that.
Really
It's like
yeah.
you know, Anders wouldn't shut up about the beer.
Previous episodes can...
Yeah, you're going to have to go
Viewers
back.
can have a
Last
look.
year,
Yeah.
Munich,
Yeah,
beer. And sausage.
sure.
And our second ever auction in Dubai, which
Yes.
is at the beginning of December.
Super exciting.
Munich and Dubai are really close to each other.
Yeah.
So, London.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about London, because this is gonna go out on the channel before it
Yeah.
happens. So
Yeah.
we've got a lot to talk about, and obviously we want all of our listeners to come and buy a car. But a new venue.
Yes. Probably the most exclusive and interesting venue that we've done in London to date, I would say, in RM history. We did, of course, as people remember, Battersea for many years, and then we moved around a little bit to Marlborough House.
We got a partnership with the Royal Automobile Club and
great
the London to
association
Brighton.
with the
Yep.
wonderful people at the RAC and the London to Brighton. And this year, we are at the Peninsula Hotel, the brand new Peninsula Hotel that in London everyone's sort of talking about, because it is the most expensive new hotel, the most prestigious and wonderful.
It is expensive because
place.
it is £10 for a cappuccino. I discovered.
Oh, really?
I bought 4 cappuccinos. The bill
Fantastic.
came £40. I thought,
You'll expense that one.
that's quite punchy for 4 cappuccinos. But apart from it, but it is beautiful.
It is, and it is, you know, as a well, it's part of the London to Brighton weekend, of course, which the RAC put on magnificently, and to be associated with that event at that time at the Peninsula, it's a lovely gathering point for a lot of interesting and wonderful enthusiasts.
Right on the edge of Hyde Park.
Incredible place.
Yeah.
Really going to be really fascinating. And we have, Peter, and we do say this a lot. Sorry, I just banged my microphone, Johnny. We say this a lot, but we have one of the more interesting catalogues that we put together in recent years, and truly something for everyone. Bit of modern, bit of pre-war, bit of in between.
Veteran. We have a couple of London to Brighton entrants.
Absolutely, that you can buy on the Saturday and drive on the Saturday.
And we are working on that. We are at least on one car. You can buy that on the Saturday and take it down the road to literally down the road to the Hyde Park starting point for the London to Brighton. And
fantastic. Honestly, one of the best, genuinely one of the best, you know, auction world or not, car events you could possibly go and see or go and get in part of and be involved with is the London to Brighton. You know, it's cars for the sake of cars. There's no bullshit. There's no pretense. It's just real, true car enthusiasts, and it's everyone from the beardy weirdy guy that collected, you know, veteran cars from the 1960s onwards.
You have got a beard, by the way.
I do.
Yeah.
Bit weird as well. To, you know, your F1 team owners, to your racing drivers, just everything else in between.
Billionaire collectors.
Right.
They all love it.
It's a wonderful eclectic mix.
I did an episode. Was it 1 year ago or 2? I think it was a year. I lose the plot. I did an episode with Alan Titchmarsh.
You did.
2 UK viewers, national institution, TV personality, and we were talking about the fact that we had both done the London to Brighton the year previous in the worst possible conditions, the rain of biblical
I remember
rain.
that year because we had an auction the night before, had we not? And that was the Saturday going into the Sunday. The auction had gone quite well from memory.
Yeah.
And we had decided to go out to a local night establishment.
Is that the auction we sold Freddie Mercury's Rolls Royce?
Yes, it was. And we gone out to a club and had a great evening and come back, and I was staying at the RAC that night, and I'd come back at probably about 4:30 in the morning
That's quite late, Will.
Bit late.
I'm a little bit disappointed with
for
your
one of
behaviour,
ours,
if I'm
but
honest.
4:30 in the morning I came home, and sure enough, at the steps of the RAC, who was there? You and Michael Squire, ready to get on your steed for the London to Brighton.
we were going out early morning. You were just coming home.
Correct.
Oh my God! You see,
That's RM Sotheby's.
that's the difference between my life and your life, Will.
Well, on that particular evening.
Well, Yes, you're right. And Alan Titchmarsh got in the back of our car. He was outside the RAC.
I must say, it was one of the best ever moments of my life that I thought, I'm going to bed now. And you were getting in a car that was just the most torrential, horrendous rain, the wettest type of rain.
Yeah.
You know Forrest Gump when he's like, you had fat rain, you had thin rain, and this was the fattest, wettest rain you could imagine.
It was, and at the end of that run, I threw my clothes away. I didn't even try, because all of the dye was on my body
From your H&M.
my super expensive H&M
Primani.
and Zara,
But the London
20
Brighton
quid
can be like that. Although, I did it the year after that, and it was with some wonderful American colleagues, Jacob Gorman and honestly, Ali, and we had the most amazing weather and just pootled our way down to Brighton in beautiful, serene weather.
And I've had years like that, and it is great. There's nothing actually. I mean, we're sitting here. It's late summer, I know, but
There's a guy on a paddleboard with no clothes on, just going past, just for the viewers.
But Bertie's interested. I hope the camera picked that up. I'm going to be honest with you, Will.
Yeah.
We're diverting the
podcast.
I don't get paddleboarding. That strikes me as a strange hobby. I mean, I think put a sail on it and put him on the ocean and call it a windsurf. I'm all over it.
Yeah,
That's just a weird way to spend your day.
Craig's a paddleboarder.
Is he? Well, I mean, I'm
Craig,
not.
have you not got better things to do with your time than paddle a plank of wood down the river?
Yeah, it is, and it's one that's very increasingly popular these days. in the UK.
I'm
We
just.
have a lot of waterways.
We do have a lot of waterways.
It's a good, affordable way into the water
But
world.
why wouldn't you get a canoe?
A canoe is a lot more effort than a paddleboard to hunk around and everything else.
All right.
But,
Okay,
it's like
maybe I'm just obviously, I'm old school.
Sure.
It's a new invention.
But sorry, back to London.
Yeah, back to London. London's Brighton, we love it.
We love London.
We love
Brighton.
it. We
What
love it.
an event.
We're all over it. So, just summary of London.
Yes.
We are a sponsor of the London Brighton Veteran
Yes.
Car Run. That starts in Hyde Park on the Sunday morning.
The 3rd of November.
On the 3rd of November. We are partnering with RAC. They're our friends. We love them. We think we're great. We're all going to be involved in the London's Brighton.
Yeah.
But on the night before, we are having our auction at the Peninsula, which is not so far away from Pall Mall.
Correct.
But, and
That's all.
but it's a new venue for us. 5-star deluxe. Beautiful, beautiful hotel. One of London's best. And we've got a great selection of cars.
Amazing selection of cars, and I would welcome anyone who's watching or listening to just come and have a look. Preview day or sale day.
Some great memorabilia. If you like Bentleys, anybody.
Incredible.
In fact, if you love Bentleys, both cars and memorabilia,
Yeah.
this is the auction for you.
And a couple of collections, a lot of no reserve lots, big variety. So yes, please check the website out for more details.
And although, as you and I record this, we haven't announced the fact that we
Yes.
have a Jaguar XKSS.
Peter, it's an embargo.
No, I can talk about it.
There's an
I can
embargo.
talk about it, Will, because we are in control of when this podcast goes out. We can say whatever we want.
Okay then.
Yeah, we can say whatever we want, and
We got a pretty cool Jag.
Yeah, it's like I don't know.
as Jags go.
We're like Doctor Strange.
Right.
You know when you're kind of moving things around
Yeah.
and
That is how I envisage your world.
controlling
Yeah.
controlling time.
Sure.
That's what this podcast is. Yeah, we've got a Jaguar XKSS. Now,
Unbelievable.
let's just talk in round numbers.
Yeah.
£10 million.
Yes.
Let's just. I know in the last episode we talked about W196 Streamliners
Yeah.
and 250 LMs.
Yeah.
But £10 million is a lot
Yes.
of money.
Tis.
Buys you a very, very nice terraced house in
Yeah, for sure.
Belgravia.
For sure. I think the upkeep on a house in Belgravia would be a bit more than an XKSS.
Yeah.
But it is a genuine XKSS and a car that was driven, in fact, by Jackie Stewart and Jim Clark, no less. There's pictures of those two
them
guys in that car.
Yeah.
It has an incredible history, and the history of the XKSS is pretty ill-fated, of course, because Jaguar had a load of D-type chassis lying around, and William Lyons, being the creative and ingenious kind of man that he was, felt that perhaps we could make a road-going version of.
I know what he thought. He thought, let's put a boot rack on a D-Type.
Correct. And take off take off its incredible aerodynamic sort of wing that it had.
Yeah, yeah.
And make it a little bit more curvaceous. Put some headlights in the right places and make it a road car, which is exactly what he did until a really tragic fire broke out at Browns Lane. And a fire broke out and a number of chassis were burnt, and D-Type chassis and XKSS chassis were burnt. And so the XKSS goes down in history as one of the great Jaguars because of its scarcity and because it was wrapped up in a time when Jaguar were at the peak of its racing prowess in the world.
Absolutely. You know, a D-Type, a Le Mans winning car. And this is the road going version. And so every day's a learning day, isn't it, Will?
It is indeed.
So obviously I'm familiar with Jaguar XKSS. Now, without wanting to get too geeky, what I didn't realise is that there are the XKSs had their own chassis numbers. Mm-hmm. So the chassis number was XKSS 1234. Mm-hmm. There are two that have XKD, D-Type chassis numbers. Mm-hmm. Don't have XK, and there are two, and that is the car we're selling and the one that belongs to Ralph Lauren.
Yeah, and I mean Ralph Lauren kind of knows what he's buying.
Yeah, and I think those chassis were clearly intended to be D-Types.
Yeah,
they were repurposed to become XKSSs,
yeah.
But they still carry the XKD chassis number.
Which kind of makes it, if you had a grouping, right, and they have done this over the years at Pebble Beach and so on and so forth, of XKSSs. Would you want an XKSS chassis number? Or would you want to be one of the two people that have D-Type chassis?
I'm one of the two, mate. I'm all over it. Because not knocking Ralph Lauren, but, the couple of polo shirts I've got did shrink in the wash. I'm just going to put that out there. But, so it's not got anything to do with the Ralph Lauren car. But I actually think that what I would love most about an XKSS with an XKD number plate is the fact that actually it's a D-Type. This is a D-Type in its holiday clothes.
Yes. And to talk about market trends a little bit here, when we sold the last XKSS, which was in Monterey last year, which made, I think it was about $13.5 million, that car made significantly more than a D-Type than we were offering at the same time. But if you go back 10, 20 years, the guys that owned D-Types literally used to laugh at the people that had XKSSs, being like, here's your little fake D-Type that you have.
Yeah, with its boot rack.
With its boot rack.
Windscreen.
And my D-Type has race pedigree and was driven by, Roy Salvadori. And they literally would laugh at the people that owned XKSSs. Now, today, the XKSS holds a significant premium over a D-Type.
I mean, when did you last see a D-Type estimated at £10 million?
Unless it was a significant.
If you're talking about an Acuria Cost,
right, or a Le Mans,
yes.
Yeah.
100%. And of course, let's not ignore the fact that there's the Steve McQueen factor here, because he famously had an XKSS. It's the car that's in the Peterson Museum. And we all know that anything that Steve McQueen touched in period sort of has this kind of slightly bizarre, but it is what it is. People love McQueen, and it has this kind of mythical element to it.
I'm not a big fan. I'm just going to put that out
No,
there.
Myself. Paul Newman's the guy, isn't he?
Yes, Newman was way bloody cooler than McQueen all day, every day.
Every day of the week. And but car guys get juiced up about McQueen.
I think there's just been this sort of like commercialization, shall we say, of McQueen and the Golf liveried thing.
Yeah.
And any car show you go to has like these crappy Golf liveried jackets and T-shirts that you can buy.
Who goes out in a sky blue leather jacket with orange stripes on it? You've got to, I can't even do that in West Sussex.
Unless you're John Wyer yourself, coming back from the dead, then you have no right to be wearing that shirt.
No, honestly.
But alas, we digress, as we often do.
We are digressing. But McQueen had one.
He did.
And I do think that the fact that McQueen had an XKSS has sort of put the car into a sphere of public consciousness that maybe it wouldn't have had he not owned it.
I think you're right, Peter.
A bit like a Nart Spider.
I think you're right. I think it would have kind of dissolved in the obscurity of the classic car world of cars if McQueen hadn't been involved in, and there hadn't been those iconic pictures of him in the car. But, you know, as time goes on, I think, let's put it this way. Times change and people are held to slightly different accounts that they were perhaps back in the 70s or 80s. And I think that McQueen's gloried years are perhaps behind us.
I think you might be right, and let's hope that the Paul Newman appreciation, which is significant,
Yes.
but oddly, people get more excited about a Paul Newman Rolex watch than they do about
His cars that he owns.
about a Paul Newman car. Which
Yeah,
is really weird.
but maybe there's a gap in the market there for
And I'm
us.
just going to say, for the benefit of everybody watching or listening to this, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid is the greatest movie ever made, and it has the two greatest, I think, sort of iconic Hollywood, Redford and Newman. Come on.
I mean,
You can't.
an entirely subjective statement, but one that I semi-agree with.
Nobody can argue with that. I'm sorry. I'm just going to throw that out there. I mean, you can try and argue, but you're going to lose the argument. But
I find that the final scene, you know, could be better on the special effects, but other than that, a very good film.
I find that the final scene is very much like R.M. Sotheby's 6 o'clock Friday evening when we leave the office. It's like, we're getting out of here, and if we get shot on the way out, we don't care. I'll take 30 bullets, but I'm leaving.
Sure.
Yeah. So
Normally to come down to the river here.
I'm talking about our Bolivian office, obviously,
course,
not Richmond. So, okay, London. Let's sort of think about wrapping up London. But we've got the ex-Rob Walker Delahaye, amazing Rob Walker. If you don't know him,
An
look him
amazing
up.
gull wing.
And then we've got an amazing gull
One
wing.
of the coolest gull wings. Sorry, the coolest gull wings to come to the market.
Yeah.
In recent years.
Incredible ownership history.
Really, like, motor show car, UK car, one of the earliest. Bloody hell! Like, they don't come up very often. Those.
And
sorts of
we
cars.
talked about the gull wing in Monterey that made a bucket load of money.
Yeah.
You know, the irony is this one isn't going to make that. Probably isn't going to make that.
That was a 300 cell roadster, but yes.
Oh, well, yeah, okay. I'm
But yes,
sorry.
Peter,
But you know
I
what
agree.
mean.
This car deserves to make as much as that roadster did.
It deserves to make a lot of money.
Yes, some really, really great cars in London. And then from London, where do we go, Peter?
Well, from London, Will, we head to the sausage and beer capital of Europe, otherwise known as Motorworld.
Motorworld. Munchen.
Munchen. And I'll apologise now for the quantity of bombs that fell on Munchen during a certain period of time.
No, you can't say that.
Well, I'm just saying that Motorworld survived.
I mean, Motorworld did. I mean, it was probably a target at the time because it was a locomotive.
It was a locomotive repair
factory, or
was it? No, I think it was a service.
Maybe a service centre for locomotives.
But it is an amazing place,
Beautiful
and I know, if you go back through the archive and watch previous episodes, we're banging on about what an amazing place it is, and it's sort of this vast industrial structure that's been repurposed into a, let's call it the most incredible shopping mall for people that love cars.
Yeah, it's like a Bicester Heritage. If you brought Bicester Heritage,
I'm just going to have an olive, by the way.
Please do. If you brought Bicester Heritage and put it inside of a shopping centre, this is sort of what you would have, which is like a very authentic kind of building, industrial, not MOD, but industrial building with an incredible array of manufacturers that have supported it and said, okay, we're Bugatti and we're Mercedes and we're BMW and we're going to have a showroom inside this wonderful mecca for cars, which is what it is. And then you have people that are storing their cars there, and they've got these wonderful glass pods that are stacked up on top of each other.
Yeah, the storage is amazing.
Storage is amazing, and it's just a really cool concept.
Like Munich's Bugatti dealer is there.
Yes.
Munich's McLaren dealer
Yes.
is there.
Yes.
I mean, and
we are there.
And we are there.
Yes.
And we are there. I mean, the lovely thing about if you're putting on an auction, the biggest luxury is space, isn't it?
For sure.
Because a bit like our Paris auction where we have a lot of space, it's like, you could make that a 60 car sale and it would be fine. You could put 160 cars into Motorworld and it would be fine. And we tend to have big sales. We've got some amazing collections in Munich.
Munic's incredible.
The Aumann collection.
The Alman collection from our dear friend Marcus Gudik, who has been just absolute legend this time round. And this year, he's really consigned some amazing stuff.
Are you saying that Marcus was rubbish last year?
He was terrible last year.
Yeah, and the year before.
Yeah, and the year before.
I know. But this year he's
he's just unbelievable. Right. You can't touch him. No, we love Marcus. Marcus, we love you. And this year he's consigned an amazing collection of just fascinating cars. Also cars with an Indianapolis connection, which we talked about in the last episode.
The Indianapolis
it's not even a Benz, it's a pre-Benz merger car.
Yeah.
With an amazing racing history, some incredible cars in that collection, and a few Verita, and a wonderful BMW collection consigned by our Danish correspondent, Mr. Anders Bildt, who has consigned some lovely BMWs for going home.
And who enjoys the sausage or two.
He loves the sausage and a beer, but also loves a BMW. And those BMWs are going literally home to where they were built to be sold. Which is
got an M1,
fitting place.
And 327s, and
We love Munich. We love that sale, and we love the fact that we are forging a new path within Germany, within the auction world, that hasn't really been explored in years gone by. And we say this a bit about the German market. Yes, it's a huge market, loads of dealers, loads of obviously car manufacturers, and huge rich heritage, but my God, they really haven't embraced their heritage in the same way that we have here in the UK or in America when it comes to auctions or concours events, celebrating those amazing.
It is really interesting that, and a lot of the German enthusiasts, they're into motorsport. They like historic racing.
They love coming to Goodwood. They love coming to Monterey. You know, you see them around.
And it's a massive market. There's obviously a lot of wealth in Germany. Very, massively industrialised, wealthy country. And Munich's been a brilliant sale for us.
Really exciting.
We've now got two auctions per year with the Tegernsee.
Yeah.
So really good stuff that's happening there now. Dubai.
Yes. We go from Munich to Dubai.
Yeah, I'm not even sure we have time to come
home. It's a week later.
Yeah, I think I may well, I don't know. I don't know if I'll go from Munich to Dubai straight or not. But anyway, Dubai, we had an auction there in March.
Yes.
First auction in the Middle East.
Yes.
A few nervous, is it going to work? Is it not? It worked.
It worked.
In March we sold some stuff and we made some money.
We did, and we made a show and we made a spectacle, and people loved it and they gave us great feedback. And obviously the Middle East is a huge region of interest, shall we say, to the emerging luxury sector in that region, shall we say.
Absolutely.
An area where there is a lot of wealth, increasingly so as the years go by, and an area in which, not just ourselves, but many other auction platforms and art platforms see as a huge area of growth in the years to come. And we have rightly so positioned ourselves within the Middle East and in Dubai for exploring where this culture can go, and not just ourselves, but people like the Mille Miglia and Ferrari and all these brands that are investing vast sums of money in the region because they know that this is an area of increasing.
Well, I mean, what is Ferrari's biggest and most obvious presence outside Europe? It's in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
It's Ferrari World in Abu Dhabi, which is a Ferrari theme park, basically. And it is massive. We don't have to explain to our listeners how much money there is in the Middle East. We all know that. But there is it's not just about buying a brand new Rolls Royce that's gold plated or whatever. They're getting into car culture
and collecting.
They're collecting, and there is a growing appreciation for the older stuff.
Absolutely.
And March proved that you can have a great auction in the Middle East. You can have a great auction in Dubai. And I think we're really, really looking forward to the December sale. And we are partnering with the Mille Miglia Experience UAE.
Yeah.
And in fact, for our subscribers, there is going to be an upcoming episode, I think, very soon, where we're going to be talking to Martin Halder, who runs the Mille Miglia over there.
Yeah.
And that's really exciting. I mean, simply the fact that there is now a Mille Miglia in the UAE tells you everything you need to know, right?
Kind of does, and there is just an ever expanding interest in motorsport and history and provenance, and just it's really exciting to see our little industry that was generally, in years when we started in this business, confined to maybe the UK, maybe a bit of Germany, maybe a bit of France, and maybe a bit of the US.
People with beards like you.
And people with beardy, weirdy beards like mine.
And a cagoule.
Yeah, that was what it was. It was a strange little world that was very, very niche.
Yeah.
And it's really exciting to see the expansion of our business and our industry into these new sectors, because it's good for everyone, let's put it that way. Like it really is that these countries and these kingdoms and these sponsorship deals and these manufacturers are seeing their own history and their own products that they used to make as something of interest, something to draw in a new audience. And the Mille Miglia, for example, is a wonderful, wonderful institution. And the fact that they're bringing it out there, it really does show that the focus of this industry is not just Europe and the US. It's now a completely international affair.
Well, and there's no point in denying that as a business, as a big business, we have to expand. You know, we have to look, you know, there are conquest territories, you know, Asia.
Yeah.
Although, of course, Japan is a very established market in our world. Certainly not from an auction perspective. You know, clearly we all know about the power of China, and you know, Korea, you know, Malaysia. You know, there's so much opportunity, and these are the areas where the boundaries need to be pushed, right?
For sure.
And you can't do it all overnight, and you can't do it in a year.
No.
But for us, the Middle East has become a real commercial objective.
It has, and I think the future of our business and the future of our industry is based on the education of people into the history of the car. And if you educate yourself, you then go back and look at, okay, what models did they make in very limited numbers? And I think that is a universal collector's mentality, isn't it? To look for the rarest, most prized of whatever it is. It doesn't matter if it's whiskey or if it's cars or jewelry or whatever it is. And the fact that new areas, new industries, new countries are coming into our sector and showing interest beyond just buying new Ferraris or new Porsches, I think is where the future of our business lies. Is a more international focused, educated, historically enthusiastic audience that understands the history of the car, where they've come from, and where they're going. And weirdly, and we talked about this many times, weirdly I think there's going to be more emphasis on the past, arguably an interest in the past, than there is in the future, because the future doesn't look that interesting, Peter. It doesn't really look that interesting.
Excuse me for slapping your knee.
Yeah. I'm talking about the car industry.
In a very sort of Dick Emery style.
Yeah.
If you're of a certain age and British and know who Dick Emery is. YouTube Dick Emery. Google Dick Emery.
No.
Okay.
He was a very camp comedian that would do that. Oh, Will, you're so naughty.
Naughty.
You naughty boy.
Yeah.
That was inadvertently.
Have I segued again?
You've segued again.
Oh no, I've done it again, Jonny.
Because Jonny, our producer, and there's a little bit of Dick Emery in Jonny as well. Is that you don't mind me saying that, do you? No, there's a bit of there's a bit of Dick Emery in all of us, quite honestly.
Clearly, you just slapped my knee.
I know. Jonny was saying that he had watched the last ever episode of the Grandeur.
Yes.
And I haven't watched it, and apparently Jeremy Clarkson said, you know what, if we were just to go on forever, the future of the car
Yeah.
which is looking very battery powered,
Yeah.
doesn't really interest him.
No.
You know, and that's, again, don't shoot me down. I'm not making a judgment call on the environment and or anything like that. But, you know, if you love cars, there are a lot of people that love cars that kind of say, well, you know, an upscaled scale electric with a battery, you know, with you know, if it doesn't have an engine, it's a less interesting thing.
That's kind of my point.
Exactly. So, you know, we are edging towards a world where we kind of know what the future's going to look like, and if you're a hardcore car fan, it perhaps doesn't look as interesting as the one that we're leaving behind.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
this is a really hard question
Go on,
for you,
please.
but Jonny made me ask it.
I revel.
So, we're leaving internal combustion engines
Yeah.
behind, and you can only keep your garage. The government, this is 1984, but,
Okay.
or
Yeah.
2000.
George Orwell's 1984.
2084. You are not allowed. You're only allowed one internal combustion engine car.
Ooh.
You're only allowed to own one. The rest of your garage has got to be EVs. What are
Yeah.
you going to have? What are you going to keep?
Is
One
it money
car.
no object, or is it just based on reality?
It's money, Noah. No. You could be a billionaire by then. Mate. Unlikely,
So-
but based on your work ethic, it's unlikely.
Okay.
But
So the dreamer would say the McLaren F1 engine is probably the best engine, one of the best engines ever created, right? It's a V12 BMW unit, you know, forced induction, normally aspirated, 600 odd horsepower, amazing engine. But I think that is the dreamer in me saying McLaren F1. So if I bring it back down to reality, I would say either the 355 Berlinetta, Ferrari,
interesting. Okay.
or a car that I hate to say own, the BMW E46 M3 Club Sport that I own. I think is one of the great, along with the 355, one of the greatest engines of my generation, which I was born in 1985, and I grew up in an era where, you know, 355s and M3s were things that young men lusted for and wanted. And I've owned, luckily, very luckily, both of those cars. And I currently own the BMW. I sold the 355, stupidly. And I would say, I'd say probably the 355 Ferrari.
So you're sacking off the McLaren F1.
Only because it's like, it's just a bit stupid to be like, I would pick the McLaren F1 because it's just not really reality.
No, I get that.
I don't think many McLaren F1 owners would be listening. Maybe one or two, perhaps. And kudos to you for having one of the best engines of all time. But in the realms of reality and sort of people's, you know, because we like to inform people as to what they should be buying, shall we say, I just think that period of time, that late 90s, early noughties, normally aspirated engines that were coming out of the likes of Ferrari and BMW, Mercedes, I think those motorsport derived engines, normally aspirated, that rev to about 8,000 RPM, and in both cases that's what they do. I think they're a sweet spot. I think they're a real area of the market that will not be recreated again, and they won't be produced again. Sorry, not recreated, but produced again.
Yeah.
And I think that in time, people will realise that actually, this was the genesis of normally aspirated, road-going, everyday vehicles that you could jump in and have an experience on a Saturday or Sunday morning, you know, when there's no other traffic on the road. And really feel a connection to, and really feel that you're living something that is special, that it was really highly engineered, that was just unlike anything that came before it or anything that came after it. And I think that sort of era and that sort of car, and I'm biased, totally biased, but those are the cars that I think will stand the test of time.
Good. Very comprehensive answer.
Thank you, Peter.
That was.
Jonny.
Sorry.
Okay, let me come back to you, Peter.
No, I don't know how to answer the question because I haven't had enough time to think about it. Okay, so I'm just going to throw it out there. Of all, you know, I'm very fortunate. I've had some really nice stuff. I also have a Series 3 Land Rover with with an agricultural 2.25 petrol engine, and people quite often say to me, "What's your favourite car you've ever owned?"
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of it's just a really weird thing that I love that more than any. I've had a couple, you know. What have I had? 3 Ferraris, a few Porsches, and the odd this and that. And I love my Land Rover more than I've loved anything else. And I can't really even explain that. And it's
no, but that you're not alone in that logic. And you're also a former racing driver, are you not? And
of sorts.
You know, you couldn't get a car that was just the opposite of a racing car.
Yeah.
I mean, like, so the shit opposite of a racing car.
Yeah, the shit opposite. That's a good phrase.
Right?
Yeah, no, it is.
As a Land Rover.
It's so slow and everything else, but I love it. And it is a, it's an antique. It's so of another era that, and that's why I love it. And I mean, I did own a Ferrari 430 Scuderia, which I think is a car that you're quite fond of as well.
I am.
And that is the very last normally aspirated V8 Ferrari, special Ferrari, limited production. And that car,
Sorry. You're wrong.
Oh, I'm wrong, aren't I? It's the
458 Speciale.
The Speciale was.
But
I'm going to backtrack on that.
Okay.
You're right. But you know what I mean? It's close to the end of that.
It is
and it sounds better than a 458.
It does sound better than a 458.
And it's a great car.
Can I let you in a little secret? When I was a bit younger in this game, and the 430 Scuderia had just come out, I used to consign them to auctions without any interest in selling them whatsoever. I'd take them on at the worst sky-high price reserve, getting a load of shit from my boss. The only reason I'd consign them is so that I could drive them.
Well, and they are amazing cars. I mean, because I'm not especially... sometimes I own cars that I really shouldn't own because I can't afford to own them. The problem was with that car is that it used to give me anxiety because I used to think to myself, if anything goes wrong on this car...
Yes.
I'm sunk.
Yes, you're bankrupt.
I can't afford to repair it.
Yeah,
and it used to give me. I used to get anxiety attacks.
Whereas the Land Rover,
I can fix.
Oh my word!
I might even be able to fix it myself.
You can probably recite the parts catalogue to us now.
Oh, mate, it's in the Bible. It's that old. It's an appendix to the New Testament.
I like your thinking, because it's like, genuinely, you've driven more amazing cars than I have, for sure.
I have been lucky.
And on the track as well. So you've got to explore limits of 917s and just crazy stuff, right? And yet here you are, regaling our wonderful audience with Land Rovers. And that is the beauty of our industry, isn't it? You are someone that has driven everything, experienced everything, and yet what do you want to go to on a Sunday morning with your dog and drive down to get your paper? A bloody Land Rover.
And absolutely, and I'm 100% happy with that. And there's no, each to their own. And this is why this conversation is a really hard one to have, because I could name you 10 Porsche 911s that I would love to own. 10 Ferraris. 10, whatever. 10 BMWs. But we've got to whittle it down. And I think after the apocalypse.
Yeah.
When zombies are wandering the world with their heads spinning around on their shoulders and dribbling blood.
You're going to have a machine gun strapped to your Land Rover.
I'll have a machine gun strapped to my Land Rover, and that's all because honestly, can you put a machine gun on a 430 Scuderia?
Or a BMW M3? No,
or
you
a
can't.
BMW M3, no. So it's a utility vehicle. Okay, brilliant. Thank you, Will. A fascinating chat, as ever.
Cheers.
I finished my glass of rosé.
Oh dear. What are we going to do about that?
I think we might have to order another, because the thing is, the people here, they're looking at us thinking, we've let you sit on our boat for free, You're not going to do that for one glass of rosé.
I mean,
So,
this is an amazing. Jonny, I don't know how you've done this, but like film production companies would pay a huge amount of money. For this.
nobody watching this is seeing our production crew over here, who are Jonny, who comes to a lot of our auctions, will very often furnish us with alcohol, hot dogs, and
The ultimate fluffer.
yeah, and manages to get permission to do things where you and I probably wouldn't get permission
Yeah.
to do things. So thank you, Jonny, and for organising all that. But I think we might actually record another episode of the RM Sotheby's Car
Well,
Show
we've got the weather for it.
from this exact location without moving, albeit to get another one of those. But thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Another great episode, I hope, and join us for the next one. Thank you very much. Bye.